Hey everybody, welcome back. George, the Disney Family Man, is back, and also joining me once again, Orange Grove 55. How you doing?
I'm doing great, George. Thank you for having me on, buddy.
Always, it's a pleasure. And as I had mentioned before in a previous video, talking about the Imagineers and the Yeti and everything, I'll have that video at the end of this one, so you could definitely check that out. So I thought, moving right along with all the hustle and bustle news coming out of Disney, which I think is very surprising because for a period of time we were getting no news. It was like we were trying to find some sort of content and topic to talk about, but it was always going to the same thing. So it's like we couldn't find nothing. Now we're getting all this new information, whether it's rumored or speculation or actually confirmed by Disney. But I think it's a nice conversational piece to talk about. And I thought today we'd talk about the possibility of the Mandalorian coming to Disney, to Galaxy's Edge at Disney's Hollywood Studios and Disneyland Park. When I first heard that, I thought, what a great way to transition Batu to not just be a one mainstream planet where there's only one kind of storyline to it, where Batu can transition and change in time. But that also kind of worries me too, because with Rise of the Resistance and Smugglers Run being there, to actually have Mando and Grogu and Ahsoka, like it still would kind of throw it out of place. So I'm wondering, like, if they're going to add the Mandalorian characters, does that mean eventually Galaxy's Edge will expand beyond Batu, or what's your take on it?
Well, my feelings on this is that this is the smartest decision Disney can make when it comes to Galaxy's Edge because Star Wars is such a vast, franchise, and you have so many generations of fans. You have the original trilogy fans, then you have the prequel fans, like the '90s kids who are all into the prequels. Then you have the younger kids who are into the sequels, and then you have like really young kids who are just into the animation. Like Clone Wars or Rebels or what have you. So there's all these different generations of fans, and then you have all these different generations within the franchise. So to pigeonhole Galaxy's Edge into like one specific time, not only is it just the sequel trilogy, but it takes place, from what I understand, between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. So it's a very specific timeline. It just felt like financially and creatively they were really kind of tying their hands. Like they're really, after the sequel trilogy was over, what are you going to do? I mean, everything coming out going forward is either High Republic or it's Old Republic, like the Acolyte stuff, the show The Acolyte, or it takes place far, far in the future. Like nothing is based in that same time period. So they would not be able to utilize any of their new shows or any of their new movies in this land. So I think it's smart to open up the land, let it be kind of like this generalized um, time period where you can go and experience any of these Star Wars stories. Now, here's the thing: you mentioned how are you going to do this in terms of the attractions? This is what I would suggest, and really the attractions kind of do the work for you. And what I mean by that is when you go into Rise of the Resistance, it's very much the pre-show and the queue that sets you up for the story, right? So you're very much, once you walk in, you're very much aware, okay, I'm in the sequel trilogy right now. This is the time period I'm in. Now, if they want to do a Mandalorian ride, the pre show and the queue can set you up for that original, era, right after Return of the Jedi, can set up that story. So I think if they want to, they can basically, each attraction can kind of be like a little story bubble, its own little self-contained era. And the pre-show and the cues can kind of set you up to kind of prepare you for that time period. I think that's the best thing you can do. And then the general area where you walk around in the land is Batu, and it's become more of a generalized, homogenous area where all these things kind of coexist. I think this is really the only way you can do it, because if you didn't have this, if they stuck to the model they have now, where it's a specific time period, then Disney would be forced to create a new land every time they have a new show that's not of that era. So they'd have to create Mandoland. Then they have to go and create prequel land. Then they have to go and create Star Wars Rebels land. And they have to go and create this land and that land. It just doesn't make any sense. And this is the only way to do it. It really is. And you know what? Really, we've seen this before. I mean, if you go into Fantasyland, those stories, Peter Pan, Alice in Wonderland, Snow White, some of these stories are like hundreds of years apart from each other, but they all share the same commonality under the same umbrella of fantasy. So I
That,
think Batu can be the same idea.
that's actually a very good point, because when you even look at New Fantasyland at the Magic Kingdom, they have the Little Mermaid, where Eric's seaside castle is, and then you have Beauty and the Beast, where you have Belle's cottage and the village, Gaston's tavern, the Beast castle, and then you have the cottage where the seven dwarfs are, with the mine and everything for the seven dwarfs mine train. So yeah, as you were saying, that's actually a very good approach. I didn't really think about it till you just mentioned it just now, that I think that would probably be the way to go, because to still stick just to one storyline, and let's face it, anytime that Kylo Ren would walk out, everyone who has seen Rise of Skywalker, and spoilers for who haven't seen it yet, I apologize, but Ben has been saved. He turned good. So anytime that you now see Kylo Ren walking out, it's like, you're not bad anymore. Get over yourself.
Right.
It's just like, but if you want to have that experience with Kylo Ren, that's great. But for all now the new fans of The Mandalorian, you have with Grogu and Ahsoka and all these new characters that are even coming off of Rebels and everything. What a great way to expand upon Batu, um, to eventually add on to where, yeah, I think that's would probably be the best way. Keep Batu, but just as you said, have the different sections in Batu that coexist with one another, but yet they're their own storyline.
Right. Exactly. And Smugglers Run is really pliable. Like you can kind of really work with that attraction in terms of time period. Like you could easily turn that into an original trilogy ride, with a few changes, programming, and new CGI. You can make it a Han Solo ride. I mean, they can work around this stuff. And I think that there's so many generations of fans of Star Wars that you kind of have to do that. Otherwise, you can't pigeonhole yourself too much into one thing. You really can't. And they had no, I mean, I think they knew that Mandalorian was going to be big, but they did not know it was going to be as
No, I
big as
don't
it
think
is.
they knew it was going to be this big. No.
Yeah. And you got to have Grogu. You got to have Baby Yoda in land. Can you imagine a Baby Yoda meet and greet? Can you
Oh,
imagine the line for that
there
thing?
were the line for just to meet BB-8 was I think, yeah, can you really imagine Grogu? Him sitting in his little pod, just sitting there, and maybe like have him like sitting there holding a frog.
That'd be great. Yeah, I think that it's the best way to go. It's really the only way to go,
Yeah.
because the other way is to it ties them up too much, creatively and financially and everything. You have to open it up a little bit. And look, I appreciate what the Imagineers wanted to do with the original concept, where you're going to be in your own Star Wars adventure, and in order to do that, you need a certain time period. I appreciate that, but like a lot of things that Imagineering does, sometimes once it's done in the real world, it doesn't really work.
Well,
We've seen.
and even before the shutdown and COVID and everything, that they were trying to get it to that point when Galaxy's Edge, but it wasn't working.
Yeah.
It wasn't working to the best, to the fullest ability that they were trying to do, and because they were supposed to even have the banthas. They were supposed to have where you could actually get on a bantha and ride them, and it was supposed to tour you around Batu, where you can actually be at one spot and take you to another. And that was
Wow.
completely scrapped. And then they were just going to have like the banthas walking around and have like all street merchants walking around trying to lure you to get this and do that. And it didn't happen that way. I think it would have been pretty cool, but I
Yeah.
think with that, I think it would have been very dated after so
Right.
long. It would have just kind of, people would have just lost interest. And I
Yeah,
even think
totally.
people were even thinking at the time, it's like, I don't want to be an actor part of a story. I just want to go in and experience the world of Star Wars, you know?
Right. At what point is too much immersion too much? I think there
Yeah.
comes a point where sometimes, I just want to go. Like, I don't like, yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars guy. I'm a huge Disney Parks guy, but there were times when I was in Batu where I found it kind of annoying that I would ask a cast member a question and I got a lot of like Batu lingo and stuff like that. Oh, what are you talking about? Oh, I don't, what's an annual pass? I just, it was too much. It was too
Yeah.
much. I want to kind of have a little bit of a loosening of that and just
Yeah.
go and don't completely break the wall. I still want to have like a show, but I feel like sometimes you can go too far,
Absolutely. Yeah. I
Yeah.
agree.
But you know who they have to add though? Now that we're going to open this whole land up, I would love to see them add. Do you remember Captain EO?
Yes.
I remember the alien band with Max Rebo or whatever his name was,
Uh-huh.
the blue. I would
Like,
love to see them
yes.
bring them in.
Yes. They should add yeah, the little blue. I used to call him like the little blue elephant. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know he has a name. I just can't think of it. And he's
I
like
think it's
playing.
Max. I think it's Max Rebo. Let me see real quick. I can tell you right now. I think it's like Max Rebo. Let me see, Captain EO. I'll tell you right now. It's something to that effect. Maybe not. Let me see. Maybe I'm wrong. It's yeah. Max, yeah, Max Rebo, Rebo, Max Rebo.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be so cool just to add those extra characters in. And what's actually very surprising is now with uh Boba Fett back into the picture of the Mandalorian, you are now tying the original trilogy to the Mandalorian, where now he's taking over where Jabba used to be. You know,
Right.
where
Yes.
it's like now they can do whatever they want now. It's all mix and match now.
Yeah. I mean, the sky is the limit. The sky's the limit. And that's one thing. Look, with Galaxy's Edge, they nailed the immersiveness of the actual planet, right?
Yes.
But one thing that Galaxy's Edge really missed the mark on are two things. Number one is kinetic energy. There's not a whole lot of like kinetic energy in the land. They need to work on that. And number two, they got to have more fun. Like I look, Disney seems to go from one extreme to the next. When it was the Hollywood studio Star Wars stuff before they bought Lucasfilm, they went too far with the fun where you had Boba Fett twerking.
Yeah.
It was like it was too much. It's like,
Yeah.
come on, you guys, it was too much, right? But then they go to the totally opposite end of the spectrum where it's like so serious. There's no music and everything is like, it's just the sounds and there's no music and there's no fun at all. You
Yeah.
gotta find a little bit of a
Yeah,
of a middle ground.
you have to find that middle part where it's still the world of Star Wars, but you could still have fun in that universe. Yeah, of course, I don't want to see Darth Vader doing the moonwalk. I want to actually, see the reality of it, but still it being a little bit loose.
Right, exactly. Yeah, you have to find that middle ground
Yeah.
because otherwise it just becomes like this like galactic, like dystopian thing, and it's just you gotta
But I
find,
think
Star Wars is
I do think in time though, if when this does happen, because I think it will happen sooner or later, I really see it coming to an end with Star Tours. Because I think with that, I really think that ride is going to be one dimensional. Where I still think that they could use the room for a Star Wars, but I think the whole notion of us, you know, taking a tour and going with C3PO and R2, I think they'd probably keep the ride system, but I think the whole Star Tours notion, I think, is eventually going to end.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I love look, my late grandmother, she passed away in 2003, absolutely loved Star Wars and she absolutely loved Star Tours. So I have a lot of sentimental value with that attraction. But you know what? Yeah, we have an entire land now dedicated to Star Wars. I mean, there's no need to have it represented in Tomorrowland anymore. I would love to see them take elements of Star Tours and put them in Galaxy's Edge somehow, like they did. They did it with Rex. Maybe there's other elements they can put it. Maybe the little droids in the queue and things like that. But its time has come. I agree with you. Its time has come. It's time to move on from that. I think it's very dated.
Yeah. Unless they were to change the storyline where they could do something sort of like what they did with Wizarding World, where you
Right.
can actually take the train from one part to the other, but you're still immersed in that world.
Oh, that would be cool.
Do the same thing with Star Wars, where you go on a Star Tours ride and how it ends in Batu, but you end up, when you get out, you enter in through Batu.
Right. That
That
would be
would be
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, if they could do that, then do it. Then if they can do that, then definitely do that. Yeah.
Definitely.
But see, the thing is too with Disneyland's Tomorrowland, they've kind of boxed themselves into a corner because now you have a whole land for Star Wars, right? With Galaxy's Edge. And then you have a whole land with Marvel with Avengers Campus. The two properties that you could have used to fill any kind of new Tomorrowland are now already spoken for, basically. There
Yep.
aren't that many franchises that can fit that Tomorrowland theme. Like I know Big Hero 6 and Wally, but those aren't mega franchises. They're not even up to like Frozen, I mean, they're not. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a tough situation.
Yeah. I think if they were to do something with Tomorrowland sooner than later, it's going to be more of like that classic, but with newer technology, like that classic flight to the moon sort of thing, like
Oh, I
about,
hope so.
and I think it's going to be more so like that, but more up to date with the technology.
Like Mission Space kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
that'd be
better.
great. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah,
Yeah,
hopefully less claustrophobic because I don't know if I can do that. Right.
I hear you. Well, I want to thank you for joining me with this segment. I think we have a lot to look forward to with, especially with Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka possibly getting her, with her own television show. I think it's just going to open up so many doors for Batu and Galaxy's Edge that I think we won't know what to do.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's going to open up a lot. I think it's exciting. It's exciting.
It really is. Well, everyone, thank you for joining us. And remember, stay safe, stay healthy, stay Disney. Bye, everybody.